Hello, welcome. So, welcome to Talk with Lise. And I have the great pleasure to welcome my guest of tonight, my friend, the great pianist Jean-Efflam Bavouzet. Jean-Efflam, are you here?
Coming.
Wonderful.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
You look wonderful, by the way.
Thanks. You too. Where are you? Tell me.
I'm in my house in Normandy. A wonderful house, the center of my life.
Really?
Which became now really like a permanent center, which was not the case for the last 10 years, but it's really a place where I kind of resource.
Wonderful.
Restricting myself, yes.
So it's your confinement place.
I think where by the way, what is the place where you feel yourself like grounded, like home?
It's in Paris, but actually I am moving. I moved just this past week, so it's a little bit of an in-between time for me right now.
Okay.
But tell me, how long have you been in your place in Normandy now? Since the beginning of the confinement?
Yes, exactly. From day one.
Yes.
And of course, the 3 first weeks it was like well, the same for you, I suppose, for all of us. Like we were like migrant birds shut down, you know. And so we felt and I had an interesting, funny reaction that I was not expecting. I was not able to listen to any classical music for 3 weeks.
It's one of the question you're digging right immediately.
I wanted to. I didn't want it, but I was avoiding any contact with classical music, like silence. Actually, not really silence, because I was hearing a lot of non-classical music, most of
rock and roll or jazz and.
Yes, Miles Davis. I had a big box of 53 of the 53 CDs albums that Miles Davis did for Columbia. Yeah. And you know, from his very early stage, of course, Kind of Blue is there, of course, then Beaches Blue, and all the. So it was interesting to listen to them in chronological order, and to see the position of the jazz languages. Yeah, very interesting. So that's what I did for the first 3 weeks.
So Jean-Efflam, let me ask you some questions from the beginning. So my first question to you, because there is no need to present you. You are one of the greatest pianist performer artists of our time. You perform everywhere with everyone, you know, all the countries, America, Asia, Europe, like you are one of the top of the top. Crème de la crème, as we say. And
thank you.
I have a question, because, you know, this is me being curious, but do you have any memories of your life without piano? Or how far is your memory going with the instrument?
You mean with piano or with music?
Kind of both, but mostly piano.
Not really, but I remember vividly when I was studying several instruments, percussion, in Metz, in my hometown.
Okay.
I did percussions 10 years. I did oboe 2 years, and I did electronic music, which is something. If I was at the head of a music school, something I would put like an not obligation, requirement, yes, because especially at that time, we speak around the 80s, before the digital technology came on. It was very interesting because it could make me at least realizing what sound is about, and ask many musicians about the 5 parameters of the sound, they would probably name 3, maybe 4.
So tell us. I'm curious now. Please.
No. Let's reverse the question. What are the 5 parameters of the sound?
You know, honestly, I have no idea.
Well, let's think together. Of course, you know, you can name me at least 3 rather easy.
Frequency? No. Speed? Yeah. Speech. Yeah.
Pitch, yeah, pitch, which has to do with the frequency, right?
Frequency. So I had it. I said frequency.
Okay, okay, very good. Now, second.
Yeah. Is that because of the speed, the dynamic?
Volume.
Volume. Okay.
Okay. So that's the amplitude of the wave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Intonation?
no.
No.
The
meaning. The no, I don't know.
The shape of the waves, the shape make the timbre en français. How do you call it? The color of the sound, the difference between the sound of a flute and the sound of the clarinet playing the same note at the same speed.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
And the fourth one,
the length.
The length, which goes to rhythm.
Yes, rhythm.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm. Number 5.
Now, it's difficult for me to demonstrate because we are on monophonic, but it's the specialization of the sound, where the sound is coming from.
Yeah.
You see, if it's coming from above, from another. Okay. Anyway, so when you have to make, really, literally making your own sound on an analogic synthesizer, you need to define very precisely what are these five parameters. Which amplitude, which frequencies, which shape of the waves, for if you want it to coming from up to right. Anyway, so it makes you develop your sensitivity and it makes you especially develop the fact that you can analyze a sound, all its aspects independently. So that's very important. So that I learned in Metz at the Centre Européen de Recherche Musicale. It was a wonderful thing. It was done by Messias Magwashka, who was assistant of Caroline Stockhausen for many years. And we had a wonderful equipment, you know, with synthesizer that were big like your bookshelf behind you, you know. And so you had to make the connections, and that's what I said, by making your own sound. You had to make the connections literally by putting the separated elements together with cables. So I learned a tremendous deal of that. And after that, you had also to compose a little piece, and I'm very proud that I composed a piece called Seven Astral, which was like a musical description of the 7th planets, like a little bit like a Holtz planet thing. And I had an idea. I wanted the length of each piece to be proportionally related with the planets themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that if my moon was supposed to be 2 minutes long, the sun was supposed to be 1 week long piece. So
that's incredible. I like it. It's so smart.
So I had to reduce somehow my actually the smallest, yes, was Moon, and Mercury was very small also. Anyway, it was a great experience. I really recommend everybody to have, if they have the chance. Actually, one of my goals today, and not today, but during this period, is to reopen my old Korg MS-20, which is a little monophonic synthesizer, which has some great quality. And actually to again, if it starts, because of course it's maybe all rusted now, maybe even totally kaput. I don't know. We will see. That's something that's something I really want to do. So, and I had also 2 years of oboe. So before that stage, I really don't remember. Do you remember yourself before piano?
No, I don't. I absolutely don't. So that's why I'm curious to know if you had memory, or if, like many of us, I think music is part of our life from day one, or at least as far as our memory goes.
Yes, and it's funny because there are some, let's say, striking moments where, as it is maybe a concert you heard, or a recording you hear. I think we all have these kind of steps. This I can name really precisely, but before no, I cannot remember any.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I want you to study now a little bit more about what you just said. It's wonderful. Thanks for sharing with me. I have a question now for you about your latest recording project that I heard a lot about. It's called Beethoven Connection, and actually I found it very. But it's like you. It has a lot. It's very smart and a lot of humor in it, because it's to celebrate the birthday of Beethoven, of course, 2020. But it's celebrating Beethoven by almost not playing his music. So, well, tell me about it.
Yes. Well, the fact is that I've recorded all his sonatas already.
Yeah, but already a couple years ago, right?
And a little more than that. And I was planning to record all his 5 concertos from the keyboard with a wonderful chamber orchestra, Swedish chamber orchestra. So this was all done, and in a way not very banal, rather normal. You play Beethoven at the Beethoven year, or you record Beethoven, but I had some, so to speak, in my sleeves since long time, since 25 years ago, 2 sonatas that I really loved very much. One was by Clementi, and the other one was an incredible piece. When I say incredible, I don't mean that the Clementi is not incredible, but this sonata of Dušek is really absolutely amazing. His Opus 61, he calls it Harmonie Elegiaque, and this piece is really a stroke of genius in the frame of the life of Dušek, who wrote, by the way, wonderful music, but not everything is absolutely that great. That's probably one of the reasons he's less played than, of course, a Beethoven or Mozart. But this piece is absolutely amazing because it sends arrows in the future. And I wish I could play some extract of you now, but it's one of my goals also to somehow put it in concert for the next season or the season to come, because it sends, as I said, it sends arrows in the future by the fact that you hear a lot of the romantic idioms. I'm speaking about the harmonies of Schumann. I'm speaking of melodies of Chopin. I'm speaking of virtuosic gesture, almost that as Liszt. If you dig around, if you dig in and you play very slowly, it sounds almost, some bars sounds like Wagner. And cherry on the cake, there are even some passage that sounds, I swear to you, like Michel Legrand. Okay,
I'm not surprised how powerful music can be.
Yes, let's put Michel Legrand on the side, right? Because that's really extreme. But I swear, it's really incredibly modern sequence of a major seventh. But what is interesting about the 4 other composers I mentioned is that the piece was written 3 years before any of these composers were born. So therefore, when you perform a piece like this, you are almost in front of a dilemma, because you cannot avoid yourself thinking of Schumann, of Liszt, of all the romantic music we love so much and you play so wonderfully. And at the same time, you say, but this music, this language didn't existed yet. It didn't exist at that time. So, but if I played so-called classical, you know, a little bit more strict and maybe with less rubatos or less effects or agogic effect we use in the romantic repertoire, it doesn't sound right either. So at the end, I said, you know, I play as my heart is telling me.
That's the best way to go, I think.
Yeah, but I really, if you have the chance to look at this music, it's really worth. Anyway, so I had these two sonatas, and they are quite substantial, you know, 20 minutes and 17 minutes. And I said, that will be great to record them. But what do you put after that? So I had an idea of the kind of around Beethoven album. And I was trying to find all the little pieces to go with. And I found tons of them. So much that are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so much that I could not decide which one. And the repertoire of that album was rather unbalanced. You had two big sonatas and a lot of little pieces. And I was thinking and rethinking until I had an idea. I said, why do I not call a specialist of that period? And of course, the first name that came to me was Marc Vignal, our Haydn, Mr. Haydn in France, who wrote the wonderful notes of my series of the Haydn sonatas and also the concertos, who wrote a book on Clementi, and who knows this period like very few people. And I could mark and said, could you help me to find a solution for that? And then 2 days later, he came with the suggestion of a sonata by Hummel and a sonata by a composer I have never heard of.
Who is that?
Joseph Wölfel.
Surprising name to me too.
Yeah, I would have been very, very surprised. And Joseph Wölfel was a student of Mozart.
Oh wow! Okay.
But if you you may have read his name when you read some biography of Beethoven, because Beethoven twice in his life made some musical duel.
Okay.
One with Kramer, and the other one with Joseph Wölfel in 1809.
Wow. Okay.
So
very interesting.
One is 23 years old, and the other one is 26 years old, and they are in Vienna. And of course, Beethoven, as we know, was one of the greatest improvisators of his time. And apparently, Joseph Wölfel was very good also. So good that they made a kind of evening together, and many people. We have compte rendu. We have how do you call it that?
Written observation from the time.
Yes, we have a testimony of that time, and many people liked actually Wölfel better than Beethoven, who apparently used too much pedal, who was playing some wrong notes, who destroyed the piano because he was too passionate, and his ideas were not following each other in a comfortable way. So Wölfel, who had apparently extremely long hand, a very accurate playing, very elegant, and so in a way, his improvisation would have sounded too banal for us now, but it's too easy to say, you know, for us after 250 years. I mean, it's too easy. But nevertheless, he was extremely successful during his time, and he wrote various pieces, but many pieces, many piano concertos, and also sonatas. But this sonata I've put on the CD is a gem. It is absolutely irreproachable. It's just perfect. And it's in E major with a slow movement, very short slow movement in C major, quite interesting. And the slow movement is is a hint of Chopin already. You can feel, but it's very short, and it's absolutely perfect. So anyway, Marc Vignal told me, why don't you put these 4 sonatas? And so it makes an album, much more compact. And now we are so thrilled with the idea that we are working on the program of 2 of the CDs, continuing this
big adventure. Wow, I'm so looking forward to hear it. That sounds amazing.
Do you play Clementi?
No. I mean, I know I've played maybe a little sonata or sonatina when I was a kid, like all of us, but no, I don't know his music that much.
Well, some of the sonatas are really very elaborated. The G minor.
Me curious to go and look for it now.
Well, I remember when I had the great chance to meet Horowitz back in '85 and play for him. I remember very well. He said, "Do you play Clementi?" I said, "No. You should. It's a very good composer." He said, "It's good music." Of course, we know, because he was one of the very few very famous pianists who played Clementi. But for example, the A major sonata, which is in the album, although written 11 years before Opus 101 of Beethoven, is in the same key. But not only that, it uses also a lot of well, I should reverse. Beethoven is using, like Clementi, a lot of canon. And canon was a trademark of Clementi. Clementi was really very strong with canon and fuga. And in this sonata, you have unisono canon, but you have also canon à la quinte. How do you say? On the fifth.
Yeah.
And you have many examples of that in that sonata. And of course, in 101, as you know, in the middle section of the alla marcia, Viva la marcia in F major, the movement, you have also a canon, unisono canon, which I'm sure Beethoven took the idea from Clementi.
But it's a fascinating idea.
All these composers were not only in contact with each other, but they were
inspired each other, right?
Pardon?
They probably inspired each other and talked about musical ideas, like Picasso and Braque were painters together at the same time.
Also, yes, of course. And if they liked an idea, they would well, in a way, steal it in the sense when Stravinsky said, a good composer is a good thief. But it was paying a kind of homage. For example, I learned that the beginning of Beethoven, of first concerto, is actually a theme of Duschek.
Really?
Yes. Same tonality and same configuration. I mean, it cannot be just a coincidence.
Not a coincidence.
Yes, and well, in Diabelli, Beethoven is quoting Mozart. In the Hummel sonate, I record. You have the entire theme, a fugue written on the theme of the Jupiter symphony, and in my next album, well, I give you a scoop now because I found another composer, wonderful, Ludwig Berger. So if Wolfel is unknown and fell in a kind of hole, Ludwig Berger, he's in a black hole. Nobody has ever
he's
heard
the king of the desert.
Yes, absolutely. And he wrote a sonata based on the form of the Pathetic sonata opus 13 by Beethoven. And yes, so there is a lot of interaction with all these composers. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating, I think.
So, Jean-Efflam, we could talk about that for ages because it's fascinating. But if you don't mind, I'll move on to the core of this talk with Lise thing, okay? So, my question, the main question is, we lived now through 2 months of totally unexpected difficult, challenging, very complicated time, and it's not over yet, but it took all of us by total surprise, of course. And so my main question to you is, how did those 2 months felt? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you went through, as many of us, through different phases and up and downs, and a lot of emotions, of course. But how did music and how did the piano, your instrument, accompany you during this time? You mentioned at the beginning of our talk that you couldn't listen to classical music at all for the first 3 weeks. I mean, I love that, because it's exactly what I want to hear. How did these 2 months, it's over 8 or 9 weeks now that we are all stuck at home, which is also part of a unique experience. We never had that before. So how, being stuck at home, not playing in front of an audience, what is your relationship with your instrument or with music? How was it impacted? Did you practice? Did you take a break? Did you discover new things, new passion in your life? So basically, how was those 10 last weeks for you?
As you said, with very different phases. But I think that if we are clever, we could potentially use that time as unique chance in our life to have silence, in a way, to be in the silent, to be in a introspective time where you enrich yourself by many different sources. It can be reading, it can be listening, it can be playing with your hobby, it can be not doing anything. And to have.
What was it for you? What
well, I do have a very strong hobby, which is miniature train.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So do you build them?
Well, yes. I show you something.
Yeah, please. That is incredible. That's why I want to talk about those things, because we all discovered something or took this opportunity to do something different that we never had time to do. And
I will just show you. I just show you because my trains are very small.
Wow. Yeah. And you did that yourself?
No. This is a very sophisticated piece of technology. There is 2 motors here. The pantograph are functional, meaning the locomotives can take its power from above, like a rail train. It has lamps in the beginning and at the and red at the end. And it can really, it has the power to take like 12-20 cars behind it. It's really, and of course, I have also steam locomotives.
Beautiful.
But
this, really beautiful.
No, this I don't make, but I make the landscape and it's in this scale. This scale, as you can see, the locomotives is about half of my finger. So it's really tiny. My little people are 5 millimeters high. And I paint them up to the cravat, up to their tie. Well, anyway, it's a wonderful hobby. And because it touches a lot of different areas, electric, woodwork, landscape, history of trains, history of architecture. I mean, it's very creative. And this is hobby I have since 30 years. And so, of course, now I have the luxury to spend time with that. But what I wanted by this silence, I understand in a way the colleagues we have who wants to continue to be productive and are posting regularly concerts live concerts from. I don't know if it's a question of generation, but I would feel in a way rather uncomfortable performing for a virtual audience from my empty studio where I am now.
You know, just to jump here, I'm part of those artists. Since the beginning of the confinement, I'm playing once a week. You know, to
exactly.
And let me tell you, this is very, very challenging and very uncomfortable at first, and it's a very special experience. So I totally get it.
I don't know how you can do that. I'm very comfortable in the recording studio, very comfortable, and that's probably why I'm also recording so much. But as you well know, in a studio you can stop anytime.
Absolutely.
So there is not as let's say there are more difference between nobody and one person listening to you than one person and 1,000 person.
Sure.
As soon as there is one person listening to you, the entire rapport with time is changing.
Absolutely.
And with perception is changing. Now, what I could imagine myself doing is inviting a couple of friends here in the studio and playing for them, and this being somehow streamed or broadcast. This I think could work, but just playing alone as you do, it's behind me. And this is I don't know. It says something I could not possibly do. What I could do is trying to explain excerpt of music, or kind of, I don't want to say pedagogic, it's too much, but of invitation of like a hearing guide, or listening to music together and playing and trying to explain what I think is interesting in what's happening in the music and what I think is interesting for the people to know. We are living in a society where people, most of the people, are not aware that listening is actually a very active act.
Absolutely.
You see,
Absolutely.
so as well as looking at, you know, you see a painting, okay, you see it, but then comes a painter or somebody who is aware and makes you look at what's going on in the picture, and suddenly you see, oh, but it was in front of me, but I didn't realize that I needed the help of somebody to guide my eyes where to look at and to understand what the painting is about. Well, it's exactly the same for us.
And you know, I think it's something that is true for all our five senses, because when you think about a smell, same. If you just smell, it goes by. But if you want to really think about it, what it brings you, what is the smell, and same with when you touch something. I think our senses, you can take them as granted, as a natural thing, or just go deeper, and then it's a new world. So yeah, and I totally understand what you mean.
And so this, of course, I think the technology of internet and all social media could be a very good tool for that. The strange situation we are living in is the fact that there are no alternatives today. There are no other alternatives. Then, if you want to have live music, it has to go through the somehow quality we have at disposal, which is more or less not that great, because it has to be good. It has to be good on both hands, not only the sound you have when you record and the mics you are using, but also on which speakers your listener is listening to. And so there are a lot of aspects which let's say I don't say I'm uncomfortable with, but are question marks. Also the fact that when you are at home and you listen to a performance, you can grab a beer in your fridge at any time. You can go to the loo. You can have a phone call while the concert is going on, and of course this cannot be in a concert situation. So I think it's very good that many things are happening. It's very good and should be, and I congratulate you for doing that, absolutely. On the other hand, we have to be aware that there are a perverse side also of that. Because, as I said, people are, I would say, not only people are not trained to hear properly, but actually they are trained not to hear. Because everywhere we go, we have background music, everywhere. Meaning
and bad quality music too, so people
yes,
don't make the difference anymore.
Exactly. So you are trained unconsciously to avoid listening, or even worse, to name again his approach. It was Caroline Stockhausen who told me, stop treating your ears as garbage. You know, that you put anything in your ears, even things which are have absolutely no value. So there is a little bit of that danger, because listening to a performance has to be done in time, and when you enter a concert hall, there is almost like a point of non-return. You cannot just leave the performance like this, you know, and leave. You have a heart attack or something, and of course we all of us have some dramatic experience of somebody fainting in a concert. But anyway, let's talk now seriously. And the fact that you are in a way forced to follow what's going on, and music, the great piece of music we admire so much, they have a beginning and there is a development of ideas, and there is a construction. That's the only difference actually there is between all the improvisatory music we know of, jazz and a symphony or piece which is 20, 25, 1 hour and a half long piece of music. It's constructed in a way that the shape itself, its architecture, is giving you an emotion that no other piece can give you because of the way it's built.
And that is going to be different if you cut in the middle, and if you leave in the middle and come back 10 minutes later.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. So I would not like that people are used now too much used to have a kind of way of going back and forth to a performance.
You know, I think that when I'm listening to you, one thing that is coming to my mind is the idea of commitment. You know, when you go to a concert or when you decide to listen to music, it should be that you commit to be only with the music, only there for the performer and for the music, or for the music and for the performer, for as long as the piece is. And I think many people now are losing that sense of, I'm doing only listening. I'm not thinking about anything else, or I can, but I mean, the main goal is to be here with the music and to commit yourself to this experience. And I think when I listen to your words, that it's what you express, that this is
exactly.
We are losing.
Especially because a piece written by a composer who took his head and was trying to find musical solutions of musical problems, or to have a form created, a musical form created by sound, is something that you need to follow from the beginning to the end, because you may find the solution of that piece at the end. We have thousands of examples.
Yeah.
And just if you think of the sonata form, most of the people don't realize what's going on. What is the difference between exposition and re-exposition, right? But the re-exposition, as it's united the themes on the same tonality, gives you a feeling of home unconsciously. People are not. I don't mean now that you need to know exactly how the piece is constructed to savor it, to taste it, and to understand it. No, 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 not at all, not at all. But what I mean is the fact it's built that way unconsciously create an emotion,
of course,
to the people. So I'm against the fact that you have to separate the intellectual aspect of a piece and its emotional content. No, because sometimes some of the most elaborated intellectual concepts are creating by themselves an emotion. One of my favorite quotes on that is from Maurice Ravel, who said once, "I just composed a trio, but now I need to find the themes."
Great. Yeah. Yeah, I understand your point, and it's been difficult and challenging anyway. So have you discovered anything related to your own relationship to music that you want to keep once our normal, so-called normal life comes back? Is there something you really want to change once we are back to normal? That is the result of this.
I want to be a better musician. I want to be a better musician. I want to know more about music in general. I want to have even more osmosis approach with my piano. In osmosis, I mean by what I hear in my mind is what should come out of this black box, which needs, of course, a lot of, as you very well know, a lot of it goes through a lot of technical difficulties and problems that you have to solve, and recreating the piece that you are playing in the best possible way. I must say that this time is also a good opportunity, I think, to think of technique, basically. I enjoy more my scales and my arpeggio than never before in my life. Never before in my life. And I had new sensation, new physical sensation of the yes. So that's something which is
incredible. That's really, really, really cool.
I must say, and I did yes, up to even sometimes 2 hours of scales and arpeggios. And of course that's we are like I think it's this American pianist, wonderful, Leon Fleischer, who said, "We are athletes of the small muscles. We are top athletes of small muscles." And when you train these muscles, properly, and you push your limit in a very healthy way, well, you have an extremely natural technique, Lise. So I don't know if you ever thought about technical issues or had problems.
I think about technique the whole time. I mean,
you think of technique the whole time?
The whole time, because for me, technique is the tool, the tool to express what you want. And it's not that I'm obsessed with technique for itself, but I always find myself thinking, how can I achieve what I have in my head? And basically, this is what I call technique.
Right? And you have a daily training for that?
Not really. Sometimes I feel like I need to do what you just said, scales and arpeggios, because I feel my fingers are reacting slow, and I don't like that. But mostly I concentrate on the piece and what I want to do, and I somehow created my own, like I guess all of us, we created our own box of tools to achieve what we need, right?
But you rarely spend time just on let's say, I call it cold, but it should not be cold, because it can be actually very creative, but on purely technical issues.
No, but that's something I like to hear from you, because it's fascinating. So I think maybe in the next couple of days I will just do scales and arpeggios and see how it feels.
Well, if you think like a composer of Franz Liszt, who was like a volcano, you know, completely erupting and completely in composing non-stop music. And he spent his life writing technical exercise. There are 3 volumes of them.
I know, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and if you think that Brahms took the time to write technical exercise, that Chopin, he never did it, but he wanted to start a piano method. And so, you know, if this great genius, among the greatest,
there is a reason. You're right, there is a reason.
Spend their time trying to give us something. I think to just ignore that somehow, and basically, look, take out scales and arpeggio of any Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert piece or Haydn piece. What's left? Nothing. None. So if pianists are hearing us now, I really think it's a great time to redo and exercises and be creative in these exercises. Actually, I'm rather sure that for a football player, running is a world. I'm sure professional athletes are training that for us, I mean, at least for me, I don't know you, but for me, running is one action, you know. But and I have only one way of running. But I'm sure the way the coach, a football coach, is coaching its team, they have thousands of ways of running.
Yeah. It's so true.
It should be the same for us with scales. Depending of if you think scales à la Brahms, à la Prokofiev, à la Haydn, à la Beethoven, marcatissimo, sostenuto, legato, leggero,
and yeah, all the things. Yeah,
all of this. So it can be actually, I think, very crafty. Not to even speaking of dynamic and playing one hand staccato, the other hand legato, or playing crazy things like D flat major with the fingering of C major, of you know, all these kind of challenges, which I think stimulate your approach to the keyboard and make you feel in a way more at ease when you play.
Yeah, thanks for those great thoughts. I really enjoy that.
I mean, it's very specific. It's only for the pianists who are hearing us whom I say that now.
So, are you up for a little post questionnaire now to end our talk?
Yes, but you didn't say which question you are going to ask me. So I'm on my defense now. I don't know.
It's the idea. It's the idea is to keep it very spontaneous, and
yeah,
you know, just I'm flexible, so I'm not asking you to give me only one word or one short answer, but you know, up to three words is fine. So okay. The first one is to do the transition is about the confinement. So and this experience. So if you had 3 words to describe, 3 adjectives to describe what is happening since the world stopped, what those 3 words would be.
It can be words. I mean, describing, for example, like I said, Z scale.
can be just the 3 words that, if you had to remember these 2 words, will define it the best. It can be anything, just your own.
No, timeless.
Okay, great.
Silence. The silence in Normandy during the confinement was incredible, and the quality of the air also marvelous.
Did you hear lots of birds?
Birds, yes. And the third one would be hope.
Great.
Okay.
So what is your current state of mind?
Extremely positive.
Wonderful.
Extremely positive, because well, probably by nature.
Yeah.
What I'm fearing is
Yes.
so drastically frightening that I prefer to have very simple, reachable pleasure.
No, but you know, I think it's a smart way because there's nothing we can do. So let's try to be just positive, right?
It may be called self-defense.
It might be.
Oh, you know, I have a motto. I said, to be happy is a full-time job.
You know, that was the last question of my questionnaire, but we do it now.
Okay, to be happy is a full-time job. I'm playing the piano as my hobby. Playing the piano is my hobby.
I like it. What do you consider your main trait of personality?
My main what?
Trait of personality.
Oh, I don't know. Enthusiasm, maybe.
Okay, fantastic. If you had to name your biggest musical embarrassment.
My biggest musical embarrassment?
Yeah, you know, like we all had those kind of experience, showing up at rehearsal with the wrong piece or having a stage outfit problem 2 minutes before.
Yes, I had a dramatic memory lapse in Warsaw in Beethoven's second concerto. Yes.
So what happened?
I had to clap in my hands to make the orchestra stopping because I had no idea where I was. Yes, and I was playing all 5 concertos. Yes, that was. But the funny thing is, I was playing 1, 2, 4, 3, 5.
Yeah.
No, that's when I. No, 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 5 is when I did the Prokofiev concertos, and so no, it was. I think it was at the first half of the first day, and on that same concert, I think I gave one of my very best 4th concerto because I said, you know, I've been it's never happened in any other time. I touch wood in my life, but it might happen again. I don't know.
But sometimes I think when something as dramatic, as big as that happens, it just magically takes all the pressure away. And then after you're like, I can just
it's not. No,
not for you.
No, not at all. Not at all in my mind. It was exactly the opposite.
Oh, really?
I said, yes, I think I said I have to play that good that people will forget.
Great. What is your greatest extravaganza in your whole life? Musically, personally, who cares? Just what is the craziest thing you ever did? I mean, I take away playing all Beethoven, all Prokofiev, all those things, or you can name them if you want, but if you had to choose one thing.
No, what I'm very proud of is not having played all 5 Prokofiev concertos in 2 nights, but how I felt after. That's the thing.
That's amazing.
I was feeling fresh like a daisy, and that was a very personal revenge, having being under rather big with big physical issues, you know, and so not being sure that I could even play with my right hand anymore, and playing all 5 Prokofiev concertos 3 or 4 or 5 years after that, and being so fresh. That was the thing I was proud of. No, but that doesn't answer your question. Extravaganza. I don't know if it's extravagance, but it's I like miniatures.
Yeah, I understood that.
And I've built three miniatures in one big matchbox. But matchbox, I mean, is 3 centimeters, 8 centimeters. So it's not really big, you know, the match. And the first one I built was an entire orchestra with a conductor. The second was a 250 seats concert hall. But the third is probably the one I'm the most proud of, because it's an entire opera with a little curtain opening, with a scene, and with, I think, 8 or 7 musicians on the pit, and two rows of listeners, of people, including myself, looking back like this.
It's wonderful. Wow. That is pretty cool.
Can I turn you this question? What is your biggest extravaganza?
My biggest extravaganza, I would say, was to it was a call I received from my agent. That was when I was living in New York, and I was visiting my family in Paris, and I was at the airport in Charles de Gaulle, waiting for my plane to go from Paris to New York. And I received a call from my US management asking me if I could play a concert in Cartagena in Colombia.
But Lise, it was me who recommended you.
I know, that's why I'm saying it. And basically, long story short, I couldn't change the flight. So I did Paris, New York, then landed in JFK, went home for like 2 hours, just time to grab some concert clothes because I had nothing. Went back to the airport, took the overnight flight to Panama, changed flight there, took the flight Panama-Cartagena, landed in Cartagena at 9 a.m. and it was a noon concert. So it was over 30 hours of flight with no piano touching, no warm-up, no anything. And so I landed, put my concert clothes on and played. And it was half of the recital had to be French music Ravel.
Yes.
But I didn't play at the time. So it was like, let's just do it. And that was crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm very proud of you. And the concert was a huge success, I know.
Thanks.
You may have felt a little bit tired after that, right?
Slightly. So yeah, the last question was the motto, if you have one, but you already gave me.
Yes.
You're happy.
It's a full-time job to be happy.
And I really love that. So Jean-Efflam, thank you so very much for your time. It was a great pleasure, and I'm so happy we could talk. And I personally learned a lot, so thank you.
Oh, come on. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.